So I just want to start off by saying thank you, God. And I gotta say that because at this point, it's thanks to God that I'm able to see things for what they are. You know how many door slamming and noise campaign they've been doing, and I couldn't. It was just feel empty. Now, with that being said, I'm asking God to give me strength for what I'm gonna go through. It's gonna be horrible, but I understand this is what this technology is capable of doing, and this is what they've been doing to people from all sorts, men, women, and children. So for me, not only I don't identify, but as you can see by my videos, I put that in their face. I humiliate the perps who want to create this fantasy. Because the truth is this, what they're trying to cover up, what they're trying to counter is the reality that this program is about developing technology, weapons, right? They do this noise campaign, they try to do everything possible to disorient you. By this point, it's just too validated. The stories they came up with, the way they put together, you just see the theater for what it is, a theater. In order for you to accept this thing, they're altering your mind, they're altering who you are, and then they do everything possible. It's like, oh my God, I was so angry. But the humiliating reality is why I put it in their face all the time. All the time. They can make me think in this way, they can manipulate my memories in this way, and I've made sure that I keep track of it. Not only track of it, I've made videos about it, so I can go back and it's like, let me show you the pattern of what they've been doing. Falsifying memories, creating storyline, narratives, falsification of all sorts, and then try to gaslight me with no escaping. I'm supposed to be scared, I'm supposed to be identified, but with time, the opposite is happening, even though my brain is even more manipulated. The games they play doesn't faze me anymore. The warnings they let me know, it doesn't, it's like God give me strength for the horrible things I'm gonna go through, but thank you God, I could be living life like this slow life. I could have lived this nasty, easy life. Some perp said something like, oh, they destroyed you, or we destroyed. It's like, you literally are in pajamas, you can destroy me. They say, well, we're gonna frame you and the people are gonna be like, I'm literally perhaps in a dying state. But the truth is, I even tried to kill, well, I didn't even try to, I thought about killing myself because initially this manipulation was so much for me. So these people warning me these ways to try to make me identify with this manipulation is just, it's over. And on top of that, I see them for the clown and the low life they are. Yes, you can see me die in every ways. In your freaking pajamas and whatever. Because this technology does these horrible things remotely. They don't construct them for their bravery, for their logic, for their genius. No. This technology does that for them. And I see this clown and the trash that they are. And they sold their soul to pedophiles. And I'm glad they did. And I hope they continue to live this life. What they do to me is really easy to do. But that's the price. And for me, I don't want to make these things biblical, but I've seen things that's like I have to lean toward religion a little bit more than before. Because I do pray, I do believe in God. And I know that, these people, these foul things to human beings all around the world, it's not free. It looks free now, it's easy, they do these things. I've shown you the picture, now I'll show you again the picture of the kind of people involved in this. They come in all shape and form, but if these people can partake, who cannot? They facilitate, make it so easy to do these horrible things. And they truly can create a bubble of just dumbness, of retardation, try to make you accept this thing. This whole program is designed to make a target individual believe a false reality. And they do everything. You hear the noise campaign, they slam the things, they try to create this. They have neighbors making their dogs bark. It's a whole ecosystem of people trying to make you accept this manipulation. And they're like, nah, they believe it. I was like, hey, please, one thing is for sure. I do not underestimate that most people partaking in this know what this is about and know what this can do and the enjoyment of what this technology can do. I do not underestimate that somebody will just partake just in a full knowledge, just we manipulate this person to experience that. This is not him, but we can create a new him. We can make him be somebody else. Do you want to be a part of this? Do you want to be a god too? Of course I understand. If this clown can be part of it, who cannot? So we made it like, oh, we're gonna frame me and these people are gonna beat you, kill you, do that, you believe us. I was like, yeah, please, they partake. They will do whatever you do. If you doing it, everybody can do it. And I understand why you enjoy that. You feel like God. Can you imagine rewarding a human being in this way? And then it becomes a game to them. What can they play to make me believe this way? what thought process can be applied for somebody to accept this thing. Now, memory manipulation, big thing, big tactic to make you identify with this manipulation. They change the narration and storylines and create storylines that's so nonsensical. For example, they knew. It's something they've been saying a lot. But it's so comical because when they tell me who knew what, it's like, of course you knew. That's what you do. No need. You know how you're going to manipulate me. But these manipulations are not even unique to me. So not only that you couldn't, they knew before even they knew me that they're going to do this because this is something they do so much to others. It's so consistent. Altering the mind in this fashion is super consistent. They do that to others. Almost all target individuals have this kind of manipulation applied to them, especially the ones with V2K, specifically the one with V2K. And these people are like, nah, they know they're going to do that. It's like, no shit. It's like, no, they know you were this and that, and every time they make me think, they slam the door and they do those clown things. I was like, you're such a comical. And the embarrassment of how I'm going to embarrass them, and I'm going to do that all the time. It's magic. What they're saying, they know. And as I'm saying that, they try to make me feel nervous. Let me just say that right now. They're saying they knew the black little girls, that was what you wanted all along. I was like, and that's what they did this. They knew. Now we're mapping. I was like, first of all, these people are renowned to do a pedophilia type of torture. Let me just say who they're saying knew. This fake testimony, because every time they try to like make you not, disorient you or make you not believe in something, they like to say not real. And they use children, and I understand why they use children. It makes sense more now than ever. They knew that
this is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams.
What they're saying here is they knew. These people who tend to do this pedophilia type of torture knew that you could have reacted this way toward black or any little girls, any babies, actually, boys and girls. The reason why girls is something they do more because I have my picture with this kid who's a boy, and then they try to create. But it's like, no, girls, yeah, no, we mapped it, we knew. And it goes back to before August 19, and right after, or right during August 19, 2019. Before that, they come in, they stimulate me right now in this memory, and I've talked about it. I remember coming back from the gym, right? And I'm walking, I'm already figuring something's going on here. And I see a father, a black man with this little girl, this tiny little baby. And I see them together. I'm looking, I was like, oh, this is wholesome. It's like, I'd love to see a father with his daughter, especially a black man, right? That's not something we see often, but it's good to see. And I hear this man say, I know what you like. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm not understanding what they're trying to create. I don't know yet. They haven't applied these things yet. So I'm like, oh yes, I do like to see a father with a daughter, especially a black man. Truly, that's how I think. Today, even me saying that, I'm getting sensation and stimulation, which they implant in my memories. The clouds contracted to counter reality are making their noise campaign to disorient me. So at that point, I don't understand what it means. I think what it means, like, oh, I know that you like to see a man, a father and a daughter holding, like, yeah, of course, who does not like to see that? I like to see that. It's great. Now understanding, still a little bit naive on how they're painting me already. I didn't know this painting was happening, but I started getting suspicious later on. And then the day something started happening, weird. I remember I'll go downstairs, I go through the trash, I see two kids, a little boy and a little girl. They both just out of nowhere just stare there and just look at me. And I'm like, and I'm mad. At this point, I'm angry. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? What this kid? And I'm always angry. I'm like, what this? And I'm looking at them mad. It's like, I go upstairs, go to my apartment, and I didn't know, but perhaps that was V2K. But I could hear this kid say, no, he did this, and then you hear the little girl say, no, he didn't do this, and I'm like, oh, sweetheart, yes, thank you. And she shouted this like kid's voice, oh no, he didn't do this. I'm like, oh man, yes, it's true. Because I'm saying like the truth. And so I'm like, oh, this kid is just so, thank you. Yes, you're right, of course I didn't do anything. And she was like, it sounded like she was like, saying, no, no, he didn't do it, he didn't do that, and then I'm like, in my mind, I don't know, they're playing these games, right? And I'm like, oh, this is a sweetheart. Oh, yes, you're right, sweetheart. It's all playing with you. Now the memory on that is they give me the stimulation that they make me have, but just a little bit towards this moment when I was actually angry. I was looking at this kid at this point, like angry, like what this kid, just annoying kids. Like, when you get annoyed, you're like, oh, what do we want? Now adding stimulation. And that moment when I could hear this kid say, oh no, it's like oh yeah, thank you. Changing into something else and then implanting that in when I saw this kid when I was angry. Looking at them like, oh, what do you guys want from me? Like, playing around with that. It's so nasty. Now, August 19, 2019 started around that time when they started the V2K for real. When I started recognizing they were talking to me. And they were doing this V2K. And I remember this perp. Oh, and for me, it's been a lot of facade of like some kind of female who are educated, progressive, and on the liberal side. And I hear her interact with me. It's right before like the BLM thing and stuff like that, and so nasty. These people have made me detest this fake progressiveness and liberal as frauds. Even though I'm liberal and I'm more on the progressive side, but I've seen how fraudulent it can be purchased. And she said something when they started hitting me with V2K, because I was like, what do you guys want from me? Like, I don't understand. They start interacting with me. And this person says via V2K, is like, we know your type. And I'm like, oh, you know my type. Guess what I'm starting thinking? I'm thinking about like this beautiful Colombian woman, typical. This is what I'm thinking about. Immediately, I'm thinking, oh, they know that I like beautiful Colombian woman and this and that. I'm thinking like that because this is really what my ideal type at the time. Like, this is what I want. Like, I want it to be like with this beautiful Colombian woman, right? Or of that kind of woman. And so now they're like, oh no, they'll talk about black little girls because they were already creating this false reality. I'm like, this is what they designed, this false reality. Of course, then everybody knows like the real me. They were painting this false reality before even the manipulation. They're creating this story before this was even experienced. Then on August 19, 2019, that's when they started altering my mind to experience this nasty reaction. At one point, I was hearing these kids talking, like, because I didn't know, like, they use childlike people. Of course, this is coming. You're going to hear the target visual say that. It's like children, like people. And I remember this girl talk about, oh, she thinks she's charming, right? And I don't know, I thought she was talking about, oh, maybe they're going to set me up with this, like, charming Hispanic woman. Right? Because at that point, I was like, they're going to try to frame me in some ways. And all along, they're talking about this, like, documentary that I watched where there's this little kid just living in New York, and they were trying to twist it out in this pedophilia ways. And they were looking at what they could manipulate to change into different things. I'm thinking, like, in my mind, I'm still thinking the way I'm thinking, like, what really, the real me. Are they going to get these women like this and this? But all along, they're doing this thing with babies and kids that I'm not understanding at this point yet. Matter of fact, even they try to make me imagine, like, because I remember the train station, I saw this, at that time, I'm early 30s, like, just turned 30 or so. And I see somebody at the train. She looks like she's like 27, 28. She's a Hispanic woman, voluptuous woman. And I'm looking at her, I was like, okay, maybe they're going to get a perp like that. Right? They're going to get somebody and frame me like that. Because, she, I looked at her, I was like, okay, she's kind of, she's charming looking, she's good looking, or she's womanly. Kind of what I prefer, voluptuousness. I don't mean I don't date any, but I like women with, and I'm not here to describe, but the reason why I'm saying this thing is because they're reconstructing you. So me saying that out loud is just kind of bringing back reality. And so that, now how old is she? She's obviously like mid to late 20s. I'm saying the youngest she could be is like 25 years old, but I think she's like more 27, 26, right? But now they can play with me. Anybody in their 20s now they can play. I have to look at people at 27 years old to remember how 27-year-old look like. And mind you, I'm 31 too, so it's not like we're about the same age. Like a 3-4 years old gap, you know, like it's up. And so now they try to be like, oh, maybe she was not. She's definitely an adult, but they're trying to make me think that maybe she's somebody who was not an adult but looks like an adult. You know, try to create these storylines. Like she was like 27 years old or something like that. Matter of fact, when I was in the train, I remember seeing a guy like who's about the same age as her, like late 20s or so, try to flirt with her, and they try to reconstruct this reality, right? Where it's like they knew, it's like yes. They knew very well what they're going to do. That on that date, I will be altered. I will never be myself again. And that's what it actually said something like that. Now we have your brain. It's over. Kill yourself. They start saying these things. And I understand what they're saying. It's at this point, forget about the painting. Today, we're going to make you experience this thing, this paint that we created. When you see a child, we're going to force you to get this this reaction. Initially, they were painting me. They're creating this false persona and saying that I was somebody I was not. It was just words. Maybe it was just, but it was not something I experienced. I didn't know it was happening. I knew something was happening, but I didn't know. Then, on August 19, 2019, my thoughts started changing. This persona now started being implanted in my mind. What I mean by that is, now I can no longer experience me. You know the type they talk about? This little girl. That's what they make me experience. They make me experience the reaction. So all along they had this prepped. And they were painting me in this fashion. Trying to make me look like a threat to children. Trying to make me look like I'm like some kind of pedophile, predator, or some shit like that. And then on that day they start making me experience this nastiness. Start making me experience this nasty stimulation and said, no, we're mapped that you were. Remember, you see when you were a kid. I'm like, imagine at that point I'm like in my 30s. I said, what? But guess who's mapping? Guess who's doing these things? The people who do these things.
It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pets. Like this disgusting thing. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting thing that I didn't want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know.
So these people knew. These people knew.
This is a common breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds.
They knew. These people knew. Let me show you who knew. These people knew.
You might guess that this person developed delusional disorder. This is a paranoid schizophrenia. But first of all, nobody develops paranoid schizophrenia in the 50s, in their 50s. This is, if you haven't developed it by 30, it's not. Then this technology exists. These nefarious programs exist. And it's hard to imagine for a person that why would you do something like this? But if you think about the new type of warfare,
cognitive warfare.
Exactly, it's a cognitive warfare. You don't have to kill people that you are fighting against. You can just degrade their brain. You can
you alter their minds.
Yeah, alter their minds,
personalities.
And it's like Chinese torture. I mean,
these people knew. No, let me just say again. These people knew.
My name is Dr. John Hall. I'm a medical doctor from Texas. As I understand the memorandum from the president, it's for you to determine if current legislation is adequate in protecting individuals and if there's any ongoing experimentation. In reviewing the common rule, it's very obvious that there's a lot of loopholes to informed consent. All of the horrific experiments you've mentioned, Willowbrook, MK Ultra, radiation experiments, mostly were done without informed consent. They were funded by the DoD and intelligence agencies, where I'm not even so sure you would know if there's an IRB, much less if an IRB is looking at informed consent. As a physician, relative to some of what you're hearing today, in the community, we are seeing an alarming rate of complaints of use of electromagnetic weapons. Microwave auditory effects, silent sound spectrum, EEG cloning, which has taken the lab out of the laboratory and into the home. Most of these, from the research that we reviewed, can be done remotely. It seems to be more weapons research than medical research. I personally corresponded with upwards of 1,500 victims, all complaining of identical complaints from every state in the nation of being exposed to electromagnetic radiation, non-ionizing radiation for the use of cognitive control or behavior control. I submitted a paper.
These people knew. Let me continue what these people knew. These people, yes, these people
that you can control them using neuro-linguistic programming techniques. You're rewiring their thought processes and brains. And so this gets into what's called offensive information warfare. And they used it, I believe, in the Gulf War. Deception works. So throughout the world, to define the probability matrices of which tricks, techniques, deception works. So how do you control a brain? Most people...
These people knew. I mean, these people knew. These people knew.
Worked for the Defense Department. She worked on the global mapping of that system. And when I told her what I was going through, all she could say was, "You're on your own." Well, I figured that out. If you would please, I urge you to pass this. I realize you can't enforce it, but if you would pass it, it might give other communities the courage to do the same thing and show our Defense Department we are not the enemy. We are not to be attacked. We are not terrorists. Most of us are defenseless women.
These people knew. These people knew. And these people are trying to be anything but what they truly are.
Information couriers, people that will carry the V2K. So they'll say, we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all these stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis, that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this.
No, these people knew. Oh, and while they knew that, you know what's happening? Because this is in 2019. Around the same time, a bill was introduced because this was happening. And this bill was created, let me just show you, which you heard before, called National Defense Network Abuse, which was introduced in July 2019. Because this was happening to those entities that knew.
Daily scrutiny just going in and out of work. Is it fair then to the tens of thousands who are completely innocent to further allow that much more government intrusion into their, their digital devices or the things that they're dealing with on their computers.
Well, remember that what's being talked about here is not an intrusion into someone's personal device or even their home. This is about saying Department of Defense computers are being misused to share, to spread, to access child pornography. And when you step...
And the bill was created called National Defense Network Abuse because the prior year, this is what was happening.
Pornography Watchdog Internet Crimes Against Children Child Online Protective Services. The Defense Department network consistently ranks in the top tier of internet service providers for trafficking child pornography. It ranked not.
While these people were saying, we mapped you. To what? All along they were saying, oh, but we saw your brain when you were a child, and around this time, this is how you used to think. These people knew. That bill and National Defense Network Abuse Act was just introduced the prior month. And you know what? They're like, oh, we're some bad government. They weren't trying to say who exactly. They were saying all kinds of things. But do you know what they were? They were part of this DoD program, which, by the way, DARPA has been working on this technology for decades, 60s.
In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. The project reportedly ended in 1969, but DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain continues.
These people knew. Oh. And for me, this facade. Now this target individual who's a woman not only calls out the fact there's a lot of women involved in this, but at one point she also said this young, and I'm going to bleep that part, that's involved in agitating her. Listen to her.
But I was going to be shot in the face. And it was an older guy. He was like really, really disgruntled and pissed off. Yeah, just shoot, shot in the face. You know, sound like an angry ass old person. You know, then a couple of days later, a female said the same thing. Oh, he's shot in the face. You know, stupid shit like that. But what I really noticed is, with the voices go, it's a bunch of females. You know, and I'm like, bro, really? You're not a woman. What real woman would soften on the female or sit back and allow this to go on? You really?
These people knew. You understand how clown-like these people are? They have this psyop, which you can even hear in this testimony, where they paint these target individuals at something else, as pedophiles, when in reality they're the fucking pedophiles, as you clearly can hear. To the point where during the time they were painting me in this fashion where they're about to manipulate my thoughts in this way. There was a bill passed to limit the amount of child porn that's being downloaded by DoD employees. These people knew. Listen to this testimonial of this woman describing a lot of what I'm saying, but listen to her. These people knew. The validations are just crazy in every ways. As I'm losing my words, I rather say those words because these bottom feeders doing the horrible things they do in these confident ways. By the way, we talk about people in this fashion, and I always bring that up because as they try to make me experience this in this easy, comfortable status, as they try to stimulate me toward the victim of a mass shooting. That they push people. These people knew. I'd rather die in hell. These things they do is easy. Doesn't take geniuses. You just take time. And I hope they continue to consume their time doing these horrible things to people. So they see how it gets back to them. I'll never identify this. And yes, of course they knew they're going to manipulate me this way. Of course they painted this picture this way. Of course they orchestrated this. Of course, this is their tactics. They do the fear type of torture. Then they try to make you accepting of it. To me, they were like, no, we mapped it. Remember, you as a kid tried to bring me as trash, as a grown-ass man, being told about you when you're a child. That we're making your brain a child now. So, oh, girls, black girls, you should trash. You know, we mapped it to you as a kid. They would talk about me as 8 years old, saying we mapped it to your brain as you. Can you imagine? Well, they're going through these nasty things in this age. Trash. I'll never identify with this pedophilia type of torture. I knew I knew it wasn't me at the time, and I was like, this doesn't make sense. What do you mean you mapped it to me as a child? I know who the fuck I am. I have some clowns that I don't even respect telling me who I am in their PJs. Thank you, God. Now, because I put that in their face 24/7, I know it's gonna be bad. In my head, they're like, oh, but they know about black girls. So they pick whatever they can to try to create, and then talk about me as a child and try to make me believe that when I was a kid, that's how I saw black girls. It's stupidity. You know the type of fucking reconstructing the brain and rewiring the brain they have to do to try to create these bullshit stories? Today, stimulation. The memory of the black man holding his little black girl, stimulation. To try to make me accept what's happening today. All these babies, they force me to make me experience in these disgusting ways, forcing manipulation, my memories, bringing up the things they made me experience, and then be like, you see, that's proof. And then, oh, what's the time? It's all games. Target individuals stay strong. Thank you that I was able to see things for what they are. To all my target individuals, stay strong and see this trash for what they are. And don't identify with any of this manipulation.